Hello students, I hope you all are too good. So, before starting today's lecture, let's quickly revise what we have done in our last lecture. We were studying about the crop production and the management, and here are the things which we have already discussed. We have discussed the definition of agriculture and what does it, the practice of growing of plant and rearing of the animals on the large scale for our economic use, and they boost our financial status also, that is known as agriculture. After that we have discussed the term crop, and what is crop? When the same kind of crop is cultivated at the particular place on a large scale for our use, that is known as crop. Next we have studied the classification of crop, and we have classified the crop on the major three bases. One was on the basis of crop production, other one was on the basis of purpose, and the third one was on the basis of season they have grown. Next we have discussed the Rabi crop, Kharif crop and the Zaid crop. What was Rabi crop? Rabi crop was the crop that is grown during the winter season, and they are harvested in the month of March and April, and they require less water for the growth. And the examples are wheat, gram, barley, pea and linseed. Next is we have discussed the Kharif crop, and what was Kharif crop? The type of crop whose seeds are sown in the month of monsoon, or you can say June or July, and they are harvested in the month of September and October, and they require more amount of water for the growth. And here are few examples: paddy, sugarcane, cotton, etc. Next we have discussed the type of Zaid crop, and what was Zaid crop? The type of crop which are grown basically in between the duration of Rabi and Kharif crop, they are Zaid crop, and the examples were cucumber, bitter gourd and pumpkin. Next is we have discussed the agricultural practices, and what was agricultural practices? The techniques or the activities that are undertaken during the different times of a year in order to cultivate a crop, they are known as agricultural practices. And the few steps which involves the agricultural practices are the preparation of soil, providing nutrients, then the selection and sowing of seeds, irrigation or the watering of crops, then weeding, it means removal of unwanted plants, that is weed. Next is harvesting. Harvesting is followed by threshing, winnowing, hulling and milling, and after that the storage of grain. Next we start with the preparation of soil, and the preparation of soil can be done with the help of ploughing and the leveling. We have discussed ploughing process as the process of loosening and turning of soil with the help of a plough is known as ploughing, and we have discussed few benefits also of the ploughing process. After that we have discussed the leveling process. It means the process in which the crumbs of the soil which left behind after the ploughing process are broken down or the crushed. That process is known as leveling. Now here we have our today's topic and the next step of the agricultural practices, that is providing nutrients. See, as we know, due to the continuous cultivation of the crop in the same field for several years, what will happen? It depletes the nutrients available in the soil, or you can say the soil will get deficient in that type of particular nutrient. So if the plant crop, or we crop a plant, if we plant a crop in that particular field, then what will happen? It will grow, but it is technically not good, or you can say the crop which is grown in that particular field is not so good, or it is weaker at quality, and we obtain the poor yield. So what we have to do? We have to provide the proper nutrients to the soil. So here we have some natural methods and some artificial methods, or you can say man-made methods. So I have a flow chart. Look at here. Here I have written the providing nutrients. First is the leaving the agricultural land fallow. Next is mixed cropping and crop rotation. All these three are natural methods, and here the adding of manure in the form of compost or vermicompost and adding of fertilizers, These two are artificial methods. We will discuss each one of these in detail. So let's start with the first one, that is leaving the agricultural field land fallow. It means we have to keep the land vacant, or you can say we should not we should not sow any kind of crop in that field for some time. And you know what will happen due to this? This provides sufficient amount of nutrients, or when we keep the land vacant, then at that time the land or the soil gets sufficient time naturally for the occurrence of nutrients by the decomposition of nearby plants and the animals onto the land. Now next is we have mixed cropping. This mixed cropping you have already discussed, or you have already learnt in your junior classes. If yes, then it's okay, otherwise I am telling you it again. Now what is mixed cropping? It means the cultivation of two different types of crop in the same field. For example, a main crop and a legume crop. Now what is legume over here? Legume is फलियों वाले पौधे like pea, gram, beans. So what will happen? It is not necessary na कि the main crop and the legume crop both consume the same type of nutrient. So here the nutrient deficiency will not occur, and due to this practice there is the reduction in the chances of infection by the pest, and they require the chemical pesticides is also less over here. See, we have planted crop like one of wheat as a main crop, and one is some pea plant or a legume crop. And what will happen? It is not necessary the type of pest or the insect which attack on the wheat plant, it will infect the pea plant also. So at that time the whole crop will not diminish, only the wheat plant get diminished. Here still we have the legume crop, and after that if the legume crop is sold in the market, then the farmer have no economic loss. Now the next one is crop rotation. Now what is crop rotation? The cultivation of two crops with different needs grown one after the other in the same field is known as crop rotation. It means, see, if we are growing a wheat crop, then the wheat crop is consuming some type of nutrients from the soil, and after the harvesting of the wheat crop, if we are planting some kind of kharif crop in that field, then at that time what will happen? The nutrients which are used by the wheat crop, they will again get replenished in that particular time period, because it is not necessary the nutrients which are used by the wheat, they are again used by the same kharif crop. In this way we can replenish the soil again. Now next one is we have the addition of manure. And what is manure here? Manure is defined as the organic substances which we obtain by the decomposition of animals and plants waste by the action of the soil and the bacteria which are present in the soil at that time. That is known as manure. And you know the type of manure which is obtained by the plant and animal waste, that is known as compost. And for example, compost is the cow dung, leaf litters and the horse dung. Now here I have written vermicompost. This you have already studied in class 7th. Still I am telling you it again. What is vermicompost? The type of compost which is formed or which we obtain with the help of earthworm. See how when the earthworm feed in agricultural field or on the crop waste, then it decomposes the crop waste, and in that way it increases the nutrient ability of a soil, and when it releases or excrete out the waste material, it is used as a compost. So here we are getting the compost from the worms or the red worms. So that is known as vermicompost, and that's why the earthworms are also known as friends of a farmer. Now next we have by the addition of Fertilizers. Now here, first we have to understand what are fertilizers. See, fertilizers are the chemical substances that are rich in particular nutrient. They are known as fertilizers. See how they are different, or how the fertilizers and manures are different. We will discuss this thing later. But here we have to discuss the fertilizers. Fertilizers means the chemical substances which are only rich in particular nutrient, like some are rich in nitrogen, some are rich in phosphorus, or some are rich in potassium. See why we use all these kinds of chemical substances in order to increase the fertility of soil and in order to increase the crop field. And here I have mentioned the few examples of fertilizers. I have written this chemical formula for all of these. See, NH2CONH2, it is urea. Next one, NH4 whole twice SO4, that is ammonium sulfate. K2SO4 is potassium sulfate. Next is KCl, that is potassium chloride. Then NH4 thrice PO4, that is ammonium phosphate. Similarly, K2SO4 is potassium sulfate, and here we have ammonium nitrate also, that is NH4NO3. So basically what you have observed, we have one type of particular nutrient in maximum quantity, like nitrogen over here, potassium over here, and phosphorus over here. Hope you all are getting me. Now next is more about fertilizers and manures. It means, do fertilizers or manure only provide advantage to the crop field, or they have some disadvantages also? So here I have a table for you. Look it carefully and listen me. See, first we are discussing the advantages of fertilizers. First advantage is, if we are pouring a small quantity of fertilizer in the crop field, it is highly effective and sufficient for a crop. Next is, it is nutrient specific. This I have already told you. Next is, it provides high yielding of crops. It means with the help of small quantity of fertilizers, we can obtain a high yield of a crop. Next is, see, fertilizers can be kept in the bottles or in the small sachet. So they are easy to store and we can transport it from one place to another place. Next, fertilizers are generally the solutions, so they readily dissolve in water, or they easily dissolve in the water. So plant can also absorb it quickly with the roots and the xylem vessels. Now there are some disadvantages also. First one is, they are highly expensive. It means they cost their cost is very high. Next, if we are using the same fertilizers, either it can make the soil too alkaline, it means basic in nature, or too acidic. It means the pH will become imbalanced over here. Next, it depletes the non-renewable resources. Now non-renewable resources means, generally we obtain the fertilizers with the help of petroleum and coal energy sources, and that cannot be renewed easily, so they also deplete the fertilizers. Next one is, production of fertilizers can cause pollution. Yes, because they can make the soil infertile and they can cause soil pollution. And if the crop field is near the any water body, either a sea or a river, then if at the time of irrigation the fertilizers is dissolved in the water and moving towards or drained towards the river or water body, then it can cause water pollution also. Next, if the consumption of fertilizers is by us, it means when the fruit and vegetables which are grown in the field which is having the high fertilizer quantity, if we are consuming it without washing the fruits and vegetables, they can also harm our body. Now next we have the manures. Now the advantages of manure are, it increases the fertility of soil, it increases the water holding capacity of a soil. This water holding capacity of a soil, this you have studied in class 7th. Next, It is obtained from the renewable sources like plant litter and the animal waste. Next, it helps in the increasing of soil bacteria. Yes, the manure increases the number of useful soil bacteria, which helps in the nitrogen fixation. Next, it does not change the pH of soil, so it reduces the soil pollution. But still, manure has so many disadvantages, like we require the manure in the large amount. They are non-nutrient specific. It means no particular nutrient is high in the composition of manure. All are equal. Next, the manure is insoluble in water, so the plant require more time in order to absorb the manure nutrients. Next, it is quite bulkier like the cow dung. It is quite bulky, so it is difficult for us to transport. This is all about your today's lecture. In next lecture, we will continue the rest of the topic. Till then, take care, keep learning, stay tuned. Thank you.